You know, when I think about performative males, I usually think about a cringy guy like Hal Stewart if he was actually smart and did things that women liked. However, something I did not expect was for an anime character outside of your stereotypical rom-com to have a performative male like this. One that not only captivates girls, but bros and bis alike, to single-handedly turn their anime into one of the most profitable shows of all time. I mean, it makes sense when you think about it. Gojo is a handsome bastard. He is 6'3". Sorry, Vegeta. He has white hair, blue eyes, and basically everything imaginable to make him attractive physically. Mentally, he is funny. He is a jokester, and honestly just seems like a really fun guy to hang with. He is also super powerful, which exemplifies his attractiveness even more to the dudes. And that's not even talking about the pure swagger this dude displays in his fights on a regular basis. Gojo is the biggest seller and the biggest root of all problems with Jujutsu Kaisen. But why? Well, let us find out why by opening our feminist literature books to chapter 67, the prologue. Beginning our story, we see Gojo at his youngest. He is a part of the Gojo clan, who essentially have this ability called Six Eyes, which combined with his limitless power allows him to use his abilities with the utmost efficiency and basically never run out of energy. A totally not broken ability that isn't complete bullshit with zero explanation, by the way. We're also gonna ignore the fact that Gojo is literally the only dude we see from his clan aside from maybe Yuta? But don't worry, I got a lot more to say about this big. But where does Gojo actually come from, you may ask? Well, the sperm of Goku, of course. So, are there like multiple Gojos, or is Gojo the only Gojo there is? Is there a Sojo, a Gojo, a Blowjo? Fast forward a bit, and we got Gojo from his high school days. An essential part of Gojo's character in this stage of his life is the fact that one, he is basically the strongest, and secondly, his relationship with Geto. Up till this point, Gojo hasn't really had any friends. Apart from this long-haired, soon-to-be monkey-hating best friend, this is basically all Gojo has. And it is also in this stage that we realize that Gojo's number one weakness is his hubris. And this is basically what causes Gojo to get killed, cause Geto to get his ass beat by a deadbeat gambling addict father, and evoke his ever-present hatred for monkeys. Cause look, you cannot tell me that Geto just decided to kill every non-jujutsu sorcerer on a whim, just cause he came to some revelation. Brother was going through it, and he probably would have started vaping or playing League of Legends if he kept going the way he was. But instead, Geto found a new meaning to his life, outside of doing something so depressing. But I'm jumping too far ahead. Let us take a step back. Gojo at least had some training over the years so that he could learn how to utilize his abilities better. And because of Gojo's fight with Toji, he manages to learn the true essence of his cursed energy and shows it off in their second fight. Gojo basically learned that if he claps his balls together at full power, he can create his own homemade nuke. This is one of the most monumental achievements Gojo makes, because this is essentially one of the last things he does for his development of strength outside of his domain expansion. Because if he was the strongest before, and he's even stronger now to the point of defeating a CSGO gambler, what could possibly stop him? There are some other things upon the horizon which may prove to be challenging for even Gojo, such as his friend Geto. Because you remember a few moments ago when I mentioned that Geto overcame his depression? Gojo and everyone is absolutely pissed off, because they could have put those villagers into a breeding center for a mending book. But instead, Geto gets gassed up by some blonde bitch to grief the Minecraft server, and now she is nowhere to be seen! But in all seriousness, gassing up this man to commit a literal genocide on the majority of humanity is crazy! And just as Gojo is about to hit Geto with the soy boy allegations, Geto pulls out his ultimate trump card.
Are you a performative male because you're Satoru Gojo? Or are you Satoru Gojo because you're a performative male?
What the fuck? So Gojo lets him get away, which will definitely not bite him in the ass later. It is also around this time that Gojo adopts Megumi, Toji's foster son, to raise him as one of his own, and hopefully not do unspeakable things, because I'm trying to remain at least somewhat advertiser friendly here. Jujutsu Kaisen 0. Gojo doesn't really do much in this movie other than fight Miguel, who has the ability to break through his infinity with a special weapon, something that has never been pulled off before. And Gojo just cannot believe that this guy had the audacity to break Gojo's aura farming streak, and he proceeds to beat the absolute shit out of him. There is no other reason Gojo is doing this. I promise. But before he does that, he casually teleports all of his students to Jujutsu High to help Yuta fight off Geto, which is never explained, like, ever. But you know what? At this point, I'm willing to theorize that Gojo just straight up has creative mode and cheats. And the only reason he doesn't step in sooner in 90% of these fights is just because he's bored. But why am I even mentioning this movie when Gojo doesn't do much in the first place? Well, that is a great question, my fellow viewer. And that is because of Yuta, this fucking twit! Now look, I won't go into excruciating detail about this man, other than the fact that he just casually spawns in, marries his childhood best friend before he even knows what that is, somehow turns her into the queen of curses for some reason, within 3 months of training, manages to copy every ability under the sun, and I genuinely wish I was joking about that, has 0 drawbacks and 0 limitations like a Saiyan, and then he releases all these powers for the sake of letting his lover be free at the end of the movie. How romantic. Like Gojo, he gets his ability from existing, and at least doing some form of training over the years, while Yuta gets his ability with the power of love on some Disney-type bullshit. Except this is wrong too, because despite no longer having that boost from Rika getting released, he's still just as strong as ever and actually gets even stronger somehow. What the fuck? And all of this happens because bro is a distant relative of Gojo. So let me get this straight. Because bro basically has 1% of the blood of Gojo, he can pull off all of this? But you know what? That's a subject for another time, because believe me, there is a lot more I have to say about this man. But the problem with handing a character every single ability with 0 explanation whatsoever is that up until this point, I thought I had a grasp as to the limitations and drawbacks of cursed energy. The main protagonist of the series doesn't even come close to this level despite having trained his ass off, being a literal superhuman, and having the king of curses inside of him pause. And that is not even mentioning how severely underpowered all the other characters are in the series because of Gojo's literal bloodline. But let us get into the main series of Jujutsu Kaisen. Yes, that entire sequence was just the prologue. This is technically Gojo's first appearance in the series. After letting Itadori and Megumi get the absolute shit beaten out of them because Gojo was too busy buying souvenirs to the Muscle Mommy gym in Tokyo, he eventually decides to step in, only to realize that this walnut-headed fuck had eaten Sukuna's finger. But to be fair, he kinda didn't have a choice, and Gojo could have easily saved him before it came to that point. But shut up for a minute and watch this combo. And if you didn't nut yourself watching this, well, don't worry, because we got plenty more samples to go through before we're done. But before that, Gojo needs to let Megumi, Doorknob, and Itadori get themselves beaten nearly to death by a special grade curse, because doing it the first time simply wasn't enough, with Itadori taking it to a whole nother level by actually died. But there's no need to worry, because Yuji gets revived after making a deal to buy a Chevy Malibu with lifetime payments and a 4.1% APR. This will definitely not come back to haunt him. And so, Gojo begins training Itadori in the art of watching pirated movies without getting viruses. Shit, I should probably check up on my computer. And that brings us to Gojo versus Gojo. Oh wait, Gogo versus Jojo. Gojo versus Jogo, the oversized volcano, where we can see on a much greater scale as to what Gogo is actually capable of. And simply put, he makes Jogo, one of the most powerful curses in the entire series, look absolutely washed. He is just straight up toying with this man. And it gets so embarrassing to the point that Gojo brings Yuji out to watch the ass beating compilation. Even when Jogo unleashes his domain expansion, Gojo just releases his domain expansion inside of his domain expansion to overpower his domain expansion, because his domain expansion is stronger than his domain expansion. And with the power of that, Gojo overloads Jogo's brain with Goku and Vegeta love to paralyze his ass. Unfortunately, with the power of flowers and not neglecting one of his students for once to be sacrificed into the Great Deku Tree, Jogo ends up getting away. But that entire sequence was too much responsibility for Gojo for at least the next year. So he drops off Yuji off with his office co-worker, Mr. Overtime. And once again, so much goes wrong, such as another special grade curse getting unleashed upon a school so that he can manipulate a random high school kid to almost kill his classmates. And on top of that, the series did the ultimate bait and switch by making us actually believe that Junpei would become an important character in the series. You think? No. He just gets turned into a character from Barney. Bro did not deserve to go out like this, man. But fast forward a bit, and we got the Kyoto school event. But it rudely gets interrupted when multiple special grades attack all at once. So Gojo finally decides to step in, showing us the power of his two massive balls clapping together for the very first time to create Hollow Purple. Just be sure to ignore every other time in the series so far that Gojo basically just let everyone die, and he'll look like an absolute hero here, who nuked the entire environment to kill one special great curse, and actually failed to do so for the second time, just like Truman. Honestly, I'm starting to understand why the school absolutely despises this dude. Fast forward to the Shibuya arc, and we finally have everyone front and center to focus on the incoming threats, including Gojo! 3 special grade curses all in one place, with a possible secret boss in the background showing up as well. Gojo has 0 excuses to miss out on the mission this time. Unfortunately for him though, the curses actually had a pretty great plan to take down the strongest Jujutsu sorcerer of all time. By overwhelming his abilities and offloading a massive amount of curses to kill humans, they managed to tap into a small part of Gojo's weakness. This time, it isn't hubris, negligence, or even incompetence, but rather his care to save as many people as possible and reuniting with his besto friendo. And because of this, the clear conditions for sealing Gojo in an Amazon box were fulfilled. And so, Gojo was locked away, simply because he was too strong to be kept alive. Gojo is one of the most overpowered characters of all time, because instead of being overly depressed about it, Gojo actually tries to find ways to train himself to make himself even stronger than he already is. Well, that's at least until he becomes depressed and does side quests for the entire series, totally not jerking off to old pictures of Ghetto. Plus, he is a great teacher who lets his students almost die 17 times a day, because what better training for the servers is there than to throw them straight into the single Latina mother of 15 gremlins? But in all seriousness, Gojo mostly cares about his students. He wants nothing more than to see them succeed. And even though his training methods are pretty hands-off, he still occasionally gives them some half-decent advice. And by them, I mean literally only Yuji, because I see him give advice to literally no one else other than him. Well, also Megami, but he basically just tells his bum ass to lock the fuck in. Also, Gojo's power is still something I want more of an explanation about, because how is it that some of the most overpowered techniques in Jujutsu Kaisen have a drawback, such as cursed speech and Black Flash barely being able to be pulled off multiple times, but anything involved with Gojo just doesn't for some reason? Like, at what point do you get to that a character is just absolutely absurd and makes me have to question the boundaries of this entire universe? But alas, there is also one major problem with Gojo, and it's not within the show itself, but with the fandom. Genuinely, what the actual hell is wrong with y'all? You know this is the reason that nobody wants to actually watch Jujutsu Kaisen, right? Whenever I recommend this show to people, the very first thing they think about is how they have been cursed by you guys posting shit like this. Please spank me with that, Gojo. Don't keep me waiting, Satoru.
Bro can whip me with that already.
Flasher! Oh, manga Gojo, I'm busting so hard. Gojo, just the tip, please. Gojo felt how heavy it was. His uppercut makes him so fine. I'm gonna explode. Call me Cinderella, because it's gonna fit. Gojo, let's make it sound like World War II. What the fuck does that even mean? Using it as skincare. Please, spare my children, Gojo. My beautiful, magnificent, elegant, majestic, glorious, enchanted, ocean-eyed king.
I need Gojo on my bed, whimpering, vulnerable, crying out my name continuously as he looks up at me with a scared, delicate, loving gaze. I want him to know who he belongs to as he bounces up and down repeatedly, going faster and faster.
Well, at least the fandoms aren't shipping minors with each other this time. What the fuck? And that is Gojo, the most overglazed character in all of anime. I know he's not perfect, but I honestly find it hilarious how the majority of the events in Jujutsu Kaisen could have been avoided if this dude just locked the fuck in and actually did shit. But he is far from the worst thing to happen in Jujutsu Kaisen. But that is a subject for another time. Thanks for watching.